The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is a key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is Beyond Engineering, Business Rules in IT Services. And our guest speaker today is Tapan Rayagiru. He is Executive Director, Career Coaching at Sunstone Business School. He's also ex-SVP, Mu Sigma. Tapan is responsible for career coaching for students at Sunstone. He helps our students discover their professional strengths and improvement areas based on which he engages with them to create career possibilities in the right roles. He has over 20 years of professional experience in IT industry. He has been in multiple functions like delivery, implementation, account management, pre-sales, business development, and as business unit head responsible for P&L. His last role in the corporate world was with Mu Sigma as a senior VP responsible for all of India delivery. He has also worked with companies like CMC, Ramco Systems, and Infosys in the US. Tapan is a graduate from IIT Kharagpur and MBA from IIM Kolkata. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Tapan.
All right, thank you guys for joining in. I know it's a weekday and you've taken that hour out from your work, but this is for your career, so thank you for joining in again. Thank you, Radha, for the introductions. If you want to learn a little bit more about me, there's a bio of mine on my website, that's sunstone.in, or on my LinkedIn profile. Yeah. So if you have questions, you feel free to type them in. I will take them as, if the questions answered subsequently in the presentation, then I'll wait for you to finish. If it is something that's relevant in that slide and I have not thought about it, then I will try and respond. Yeah. So my goal for today is, to provide you perspectives, to pose more questions than really to answer any. And the idea is to make you think. There are no real easy answers to career related questions. Building a career is a non-trivial task. So if there was a magic pill, if you find that, do let me know. But I believe there are no real easy answers. Either of these three problems, if you have them, you probably seen as many advertisements of these that you quote in newspapers claiming 2 weeks to a fairer skin, 2 weeks to a great set of hair, or losing 20 kilos and 8 inches. If that was true, that would be a great business to be in, but unfortunately that is not how life works. So it is quite difficult. So my goal today here is to provide perspective the way I see things. If you agree, great. If you disagree, even better. Go ahead and think for yourself, but the idea is to make you think. Yeah. So the way I like to start this session is talking about what is the macro issue? Why are we here today? So I started my IT journey in 1992, and growth of this industry in those years was significantly higher. It was just the start of the Y2K bug. India was the most cost-effective destination to do those kind of work, and business was growing 100% year on year. I would say that continued maybe 10, 12, 14 years where we had fantastic growth, and I was part of the early Infosys team. We recognized we used to go have 100% quarter-on-quarter growth for about first 36 odd quarters of Infosys. Now, of course, you know what the story is. In a decade or more later, that growth is down to 10 to 15%. If you are in one of those great companies, there are some companies which are even experiencing zero growth, even negative growth. So the way the industry grew from a talent perspective during those heydays is actually bring in people at the bottom, let them grow with the business. There was very little lateral hiring from other industries. So what happened to people like us that joined in the 90s? We kept getting pushed up, irrespective of our caliber, our talent, our skills. But for you guys, it is obviously a lot tougher with the industry growth being where it is. So the entry-level talent that came in those years, so I would say anywhere from 2002, 2004 onwards, there has been some amount of growth, but that growth is really nothing significant. And with this overall slowdown, you guys are probably stuck in roles that fancy titles keep changing, salary keeps changing, but responsibilities really don't change. So even making into middle management of an organization becomes harder and harder. So if I have to ask you to sit today in 2014 and guess about what is likely to happen, let's say 2024 or 2025, what would be your guess? So here are your 4 options. Think about it. There's no need to really respond to me. I do these sessions quite regularly, and I kind of know how people think. So India continues to be the back office of the world, executes a bunch of services from India. They can be IT services, maybe a little bit of product support or enhancements, kind of as is, as we have got today, right? Second option is, we are obviously where we are today, plus we start producing best of class software products for the world market, not for an India market, but if you have to think of a product that gets used in the American, in the Western European market, India is the one that starts producing them. And that's kind of, today's case plus better than today environment. Here is my worst case situation, which is China, Philippines, Eastern Europe take over what India is known for today, and we are back to the dark ages of pre-92 India. Now this is very scary, but it is possible, and hence that's an option. And then your last option, not as bad as C, but worse than today. And in my opinion, I know you guys can make up your own mind. In my opinion, we are most likely headed to option D. As Eastern Europeans start learning English, I used to manage a team back in Ukraine. Very, very talented people, really not shy of programming, very good at math from the old USSR days. And they're willing to work for much less than our people in India. They're way more loyal to an employer, and willing to build a longer term career compared to what our people are here. So it is possible that we obviously don't go to pre-92 world, but it's possible that we become worse from where we are today. Yeah, so something to think about. Now, if that's the macro situation, how does it manifest in micro career issues for each of you, right? This is the most common one. So where I see people with roles like senior engineer, tech lead, project manager, consultant, advisor, you may be called fancy titles, but all you are doing really is individual contributor with technical skills. You've got 6, 10, 12 years of experience. Title doesn't matter, but if you look at your job content, it's probably still as an individual contributor with tech skills. Maybe you lead 2, 3 freshers or 10 freshers or 10 very young guys, but it is only technical job. Yeah. Then what about role transition? In a services company, you are in a delivery role, you want to do some pre-sales or client engagement, you want to move into a product management area, but not happening. Happens to a few people, but unfortunately not happening with you. Yeah. What about compensation? Now, if you look back last 4 years of your career, probably on an average you've got a 10 to 12% hike. But guess what? Inflation has been actually more than that. The price of petrol's gone up more than that. The price of house rentals have gone up more than that. Price of real estate definitely has gone up more than that. So in real terms, either your salary is stagnant or in some cases even going down. If you got a hike, the only way you have got it is by changing jobs, joining a different company, very similar role. You had some kind of a technical skill, you knew Java, you knew Oracle, you were SAP certified, you were PMP certified, you were ITIL certified, you were Prince certified. Use that certification, use that tech skill and got a different job. They gave you a 25-30% hike. But for the next 2 cycles, no more hike. You were probably better off if you had stayed on with your original employer. The third one is the most dangerous one, where as any industry matures and skills become commoditized, there will be younger people who will start, be willing to work for the same, do the same job, because they will have that skill set for a much, much lesser salary. This has happened with auto industry. This has happened with the technology industry itself in the US. Once India started coming in, we actually got a lot of those jobs back here. So there's nothing that prevents these jobs to going to younger people. The way to really test this is you should ask yourself this question. If I were to quit my job today, what will my company do? If I were to quit my job today, my company will probably hire somebody who has lesser years of experience than I have, who probably expects a lower salary than I make today. And you can't really blame the organization, because they exist for the reasons of profit, and if somebody else can do the same job at a lower cost, they will absolutely go for it. Yeah. So today they are waiting for you to leave your job. What happens tomorrow when they actually ask you to go? It is not that scary a situation. Yesterday in Bangalore, Yahoo's let their entire product engineering team go. So there will be situations like that. I wish it doesn't, but if a commercial organization like Infosys or TCS really finds a very cheap, talented set of people in Eastern Europe or China, they will absolutely go there. I have no doubts in my mind. Yeah? And then there are some of us who want to do our own business, really don't want to work for somebody else, but we have good ideas, we have ability to work for no salary, we have the willingness to work very hard 24/7, but unfortunately we don't have the confidence, right? So if if the macro is lack of growth, lack of opportunities, the micro, the way you see it, present it to yourself in your careers is probably one of these or more than one of these. Yeah. So if we were to think about what you really do for an organization today, I have a very simple chart. Now I'll walk you through each row, and you can kind of see where you belong in that chart. So ask yourself this question. Are you an individual contributor? Which means somebody gives you something to do, you do it, you return back an output. You're just responsible for your own task. The second level of responsibility is task responsible. Are you responsible for a full task, in which case you do part of it and somebody else does part of it, which means you are also responsible for their task. So titles could be tech lead, module lead, team lead, I don't know, fancy titles, but all you are responsible for is a piece of task. And that task is assigned to you by somebody else, yeah. So the third one is what I call deliverable responsible. You are responsible to create a piece of work product. This could take several weeks, several months, could take several days, yeah. So you are responsible to create that deliverable, and the deliverable has already been approved by somebody. So what you are doing, you are also responsible for other people's tasks and those people themselves, their careers, their appraisals, their aspirations and things like that, building those teams, managing those teams. So the typical titles here could be project manager, senior project manager and things like that. The next level of responsibility, which is where probably all of you want to go, is what is called customer responsible. So you are responsible to a customer. So you are not really working for another employee of your own company. You are directly responsible to a customer, and you get the requirement that the customer has and you service that requirement, right? So this could be a typical project management kind of role. Again, different companies have different titles for these, but you should try to gauge where in the level of contribution are you. The last one, which is probably the ultimate goal for any professional, is to be independently responsible for a business. Now, if it is a small business, it could be the entire company. If you're part of an Infosys TCS, obviously it takes something to become the CEO of that company, but could you be the owner for their enterprise solutions business? Could you be the owner for their Eastern Europe practice? Could you be the owner for their Australia practice of SAP implementations and things like that. So the goal is to be responsible for a business, which means you bring in the revenue, you build the teams, you execute those projects. So I have a very simple chart to kind of demystify what a business role in a tech company is. So I will use some pen and colors so to kind of illustrate. Rather, if you have trouble seeing that, let me know. So in most organizations, there is a very large part of the organization which is responsible for managing the existing business of a company. So if you are with a services firm, these is probably the delivery teams, right? People that are executing projects that have already been won, already been awarded to the company. So they could be designing, they could be coding, they could be testing, they could be writing specs, just name it, yeah. Now 80-85% of the company really belongs in this box. There is a 10-15% of the company that is worried about tomorrow's business of the company. In a services firm, these are program managers that manage large initiatives. These are account managers that bring in business from the same customer. These are sales teams, business development teams, pre-sales teams, marketing guys that are actually worried about tomorrow's business of the company and are responsible for providing food for the guys in the managing the business category. And then there are 10, 12, 15 people in a company that run the business of the company, worried about which partners to partner with, what kind of customers to acquire, which kind of employees to hire, where to put offices, how much salary to give, and where to get investors, how much money to take from investors, and things like that, which are more strategic. Even though they sound very nice and sexy, they are really organizational tasks without any customer accountability, but they have very long range impact. So it's a very small set of people. So the point of this illustration is how to build a career, right? So it is possible for you to build a career that spans only managing the business. So you could start as an engineer developer, become a senior engineer, tech lead, team lead, project manager, senior project manager, delivery manager, senior delivery manager, senior, super senior delivery manager, and you could retire at 50, 55. This is very realistic. A lot of people get that option, but then that is not really fully leveraging your potential from your career. By doing more and more projects, you don't become fit, or you don't acquire the skill sets to become an account manager or a business development manager. It is a step function jump. Your engineering, your MCA, your BCA won't really carry you there. You need business skills. You need really good soft skills to go there. And then you can go further in the ladder and grow closer to a strategic management function. See the overlaps between boxes is very important to understand this. There might be account managers with 7, 8, 10 years experience. There could be delivery guys 15, 20 years experience. So it is possible, but then there is the end comes very soon if you are in the managing the business box. The end goes much farther if you are in growing the box, and obviously much farther if you are in strategic management. So that's what I wanted to kind of highlight. I have a slide each on each of these, so I'll just run through that. So managing the business is execution of already won the planned business. What do you need? You need good grasp of technology and process. You need a little bit functional knowledge of how businesses work, sales, marketing, finance, HR, operations, etc. Because technology alone won't let you traverse the entire career. You probably finish as a team lead, tech lead, but if you want to go into a manager, senior manager, dev manager and group manager kind of roles, you will need functional knowledge. Obviously, you will also start to have some impact on how you manage teams, how you communicate. These will start to become important. Then growing the business is about planning, managing or executing a business unit, group or product line. Now here, what it takes is not only understanding also everything that is needed in the managing the business box, but also you must understand how your own company functions. Do you know what are the services that are offered by Infosys? What is the margin structure of one service versus another? what kind of positioning statement is made to a particular customer set versus another customer set. How do they fight against a Cognizant, a TCS, and HCL? What are the unique differentiators for an Infosys has that others don't have? So you need to understand very deeply your own understanding, your own company's business. Yeah. And then obviously you need to be able to understand how to manage customer relationships, because now your role has gone beyond the four walls of your house into external stakeholders, and customer is a very, very key stakeholder in that. And here your soft skills actually need to get much more intensified. It's not enough to just learn how to communicate. You need the ability to manage managers. And that's a very tricky task. Yeah, those of you that are in those roles will realize what I'm talking about. You should know how to negotiate, because you will be representing your company. You should know how to network, going beyond the context of a relationship to keep a business relationship alive. How to tell a story. Now this goes way beyond command over English. If you and I know the same story, how I tell it versus how you tell it could make a large difference between our ability to be successful in business roles. Then strategy, obviously, this is about all of this and lot more. Now here their responsibility is really end-to-end responsibility for one business, setting a strategy, creating a vision, creating value where none exists. What that means is you think of products, services, partnerships that actually create value for the customer. So you have to understand what customer needs are, and then find the right set of partners and vendors and create those value offerings and take them there. Yeah. And then once you become very senior, one of the manifestations that happens in your team is your teams get smarter. If you are smart, people that have made it to your direct reports are going to be smarter. So at a manager, project manager level, you probably get a team which has got a normal distribution of smartness. But as you become more and more senior, you get extremely high performing team members. So you should know how to run those teams. Those teams are run very differently from vanilla regular teams, right? And then your ability to communicate again has to go on super steroids, because now you have to stand up in a town hall, address 4,000 people, who you can completely inspire like Narendra Modi is doing, or completely put them to sleep like Manmohan Singh was doing. So somewhere your ability to listen to them in large groups, to be able to tell them a story of what you're going to actually achieve and inspire them to perform better than what they would have if they had not heard you, become very, very key for success. Yeah? So I have some bits on Sunstone that I'm going to skip. Those of you that are interested in Sunstone should attend the Sunstone information program. But here is the bottom line. In order to become successful in a business role, you need to understand how businesses work, which is the fundamental building blocks of a business. You need to take those building blocks, apply that to the business of your customer and the business of your own employer, and understand how those two businesses work, and combine that with soft skills. That's when you are likely to be very successful in a business role. Yeah? So I'll just pause here, see if there are any questions, and then move on. I have a logical break here to kind of talk about different types of companies and different types of roles that are available in those organizations. Yeah. So this is Ashwin from Chennai. I work for MNC as a senior tester. Recently I've been certified as a business analyst. I have minimal experience on the same. My overall 7+ years of total experience. But my company is not entertaining to provide me any career enhancement which I'm eligible to sail on the same. I wish to know why companies are not entertaining as such transition where employees wish to travel to the employees capable. Can you share thoughts on the same? Fair enough, Ashwin. This is a very common problem. So basically, I was talking to somebody even this morning. So do you build capabilities first, or does the opportunity get to you first? And when you have built the capability, should the opportunity become automatic, right? So this is exactly what situation you are in. So you are a tester, you picked up business analysis skills, But just because you have the skills doesn't mean the opportunity will present itself the next day, right? Opportunities don't wait. But the fact that you have the skills now makes you eligible the next time the opportunity strikes. So somewhere you have to understand that capability building comes much before opportunity presents itself. And sometimes if opportunity presents and you're not prepared or you don't have the skill set, then you just miss that opportunity. So I would encourage you to be patient. Just make sure your skills, when you say business analyst skill, I don't know if you just took a CBAP kind of a course, that is typically not enough, because all that does is it tells you the process for doing business analysis. It doesn't tell you anything about business. So pick up more skills that get you ready, and when the employer has an opportunity, they should give it to you. If they don't give it to you, you walk away. Find another employer, because in the end your career is about you, but you have to make sure you're given your current employer a fair chance and you have built enough capability and enough credibility in your prior role. So I've had techie guys who come to me and say, you know, I'm a technical, I don't like technology, give me a business role and I'll do it well. So, dude, I looked at last 3 of your appraisals. You have average or below average in technology. How will I believe that you're going to be good in business? I'm not ready to take that risk. So do your current roles well. Make sure you pick up capabilities and be ready for the next opportunity, and give yourself enough time. If you don't get it within the same employer, this is a free world. Walk away and find another place. But then be sure you're going to be successful, because getting the opportunity is not enough. Once you get the opportunity, you have to prove to yourself, prove to your employer that you can actually do it. You know, getting fired is equally easy as you become more and more senior. At lower levels, yeah, people will say, okay, boss, another 5 lakh resource, let him do average job. But if you are making 30, 40 lakhs, you know, you cannot do an average job. There will be signals for you to, you know, push off and do something else. So be very, very sure that you can be successful. But if you don't take the risk, obviously there is no reward at the end of that risk. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll move on. I'll finish my presentation and take questions. So I created a framework for you guys to divide organizations into 4 quadrants. And for today, the focus will be on mature services firms, but I just want to create the framework so that you have an understanding of. So let's say you work for like a, so there are product companies and there are services companies. So these 2 are products and these 2 are services. Yeah. Now, if you work for, now let's focus on services. So the mature services are companies like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, Capgemini, Accenture, I don't know, many, right? There are some, so the characteristics of such companies, the service is proven, typically highly competitive because there are several providers that provide the same service, and there's a big price war. Most of you probably belong to this type of organization because that's where they hire the most number of people. Yeah? But then there are some early stage services firms. So if you think of a new service, so for example, I used to be with a company called Mu Sigma, which was into analytics as a service, which not many companies provided, 7, 8 years back. Now that's a new service. Then HCL, I don't know, 8, 10 years back started this performance, pay for performance kind of business model, which makes the company something very, very interesting. The risk reward mechanism becomes very high, and competition is not that intense because nobody else has started operating in that business model or started providing that service. Over 4 or 5 years, others start providing the same service or start adopting the same business model. But there could be some early stage services firms also. Similarly, there are early stage product companies where the idea is to create an intellectual property. They are typically single idea companies and very small in size, and there's a lot of focus on development. Now those of you that are choosing product companies should think about this, but that's not the focus for our discussion today. Then there are the mature product companies, right? The likes of an SAP, Oracle, IBM, and things like that, where the goal is typically to maintain or enhance the intellectual property. They're typically very large size, and they're basically very implementation and support heavy. 70-80% of the company would be doing implementation and support. A small part probably works in engineering, but they are first decimal place, second decimal place, third decimal place releases, there are no new products being developed. So if you're considering product as a career, then you want to make this distinction very, very clearly. You want to join a true product company that's trying to build a product from scratch. Think of smaller companies that are in early stage, but be very clear that they're single idea company, there is high risk. But if you join SAP or Oracle and do product management, unless you're on one of their new flagship products, you're probably just maintaining or enhancing one of the existing products. Yeah. So for today, the focus is the mature services companies, and I'll come to the different roles and what does it take for each of these roles to be, for people to be successful. So the basic functions in any organization remain the same. Really doesn't matter whether it is, they're making phones or laptops or soap or things like that. Every company has a sales, marketing, finance, ops, HR, supply chain, business strategy kind of teams. But what is important for us in this discussion is to identify those functions within the IT services organization. So I have picked 5, there may be more, so feel free to add or think, but at least I'll give you a framework for the majority of the business roles. So in sales, there are typically 3 types of roles. Type 1 is what is called a hunter, who actually brings in new customers to the company. So today I don't have Apple as a customer, can you get Apple to be a customer of my company, right? So that's the hunter role. Then there is a farmer role, which is responsible for growing existing markets or existing customers, saying, hey, I already have a business in Western Europe, but I don't have enough business with British Telecom. We have done a few projects, but can you get more projects from existing customers? So that's kind of a farmer role. Then obviously there are teams that support in making a sale happen, and they're pre-sales. There could be several titles. I'll cover those in detail on a subsequent slide. Then there are marketing roles. There are people that actually help market a company itself. So there is a corporate marketing team that Infosys has, that a Wipro has. There is marketing communication, the way they present themselves in conferences, seminars, create buzz to acquire customers, to employees, and all of that would be part of corporate marketing. Then there are alliances and strategic management. Let's say Wipro and SAP have a tie-up. Infosys and Oracle have a tie-up. So somebody has to manage those alliances and provide strategic engagement to those relationships. So that's a very clear business role within the marketing function. Then there is the client engagement. Now this is slightly different from the farmer function upstairs. Here, the role of an account manager, an engagement manager, an account lead, a business manager, a client partner, I think TCS calls them BRM, business relationship manager. The goal is the same. Make sure whatever we are delivering to them today is delivered to their satisfaction and bring in additional money or additional business to the company, right? So that's a very significant group of roles that may be very relevant for people that are in delivery roles. Then there are some execution related business roles, which is what Ashwin is probably referring to. They could be called business analyst, business consultant, process consultant. So they are not really part of managing the business box. I take you back to that. So there are business roles within this box, which is executing existing business itself, and those are what that represents is execution roles, but they're business roles. Yeah. And I have a detailed slide on each of these 4 as we go along. Yeah. So sales. Now sales, actually the responsibility is very clear. Bring in new clients and be responsible for growing the business within the specific time frame. So they'll typically get anywhere between 18 to 24 months. Whatever revenue you can get out of that customer for that duration, that credit goes to you. Now here, I don't know if it is a skill, but it is a there are skills obviously, but it requires a very different type of personality, and a lot of you and I really don't fit into this, but I'll let you make that assessment. You should be able to build a relationship very quickly, over 5 minutes, chai, coffee, over a drink, over a casual meeting in an elevator, whether on a metro ride to somewhere, on a cab ride somewhere. You have very little time to build a relationship, and you should be able to do that very, very quickly. And you have to be solid persevering. Remember those guys that call you saying, offering you personal loan, credit card, this, that, they get 999 rejections before they maybe get one yes. But even that is a very, very good rate. The rejections are far too many. So you should have the ability to persevere. If you are the type that thinks, oh man, how dare you say no to me, then you are probably not good fit for sales. Yeah? Then you should have a problem-solving mindset. You have to understand a customer's pain points. You have to understand your own company's service offerings very, very well. And then you should be able to marry the two. A customer says, hey, so I used to have a client in the US who was, like an apparel client. They used to put these tags, price tags on their dresses. And every time they would discount, somebody will have to go there, cut it and put a new tag or put a sticker over those. So it was getting very expensive. So they were saying, oh, my tagging process takes away 1% of my margin, right? So that's their business problem. Now, if you really understood your company's service offering very well, you could say, why do you do it in the US? Why don't I do it in India for you? Create ready-made package tags, ship them by FedEx to you. It will still be cheaper than doing it in the US, right? So understanding the true business problem, understanding the capabilities of your own organization, marrying the two and coming up with a winning proposal is actually very, very important. And sometimes it needs, actually most of the times it needs more problem solving rather than any hard business skills. So you need to be really good at that. And of course, goes without saying, you have to be commercially savvy. You should know how much a dollar is. You should be completely shameless in asking for money. You should understand, $2 is today is better than $5 tomorrow and things like that. Yeah. And then leadership. Now this leadership is very, very different from other types of leadership, people standing on benches and talking things. Here they have to get their work done from people who have nothing to benefit at the win. So let's say I have to work with you in order to create a proposal. Now you are a project manager who has his own delivery pressures and all of that. I still have to get you to contribute to that. I have to be able to work with the pricing team to be able to get the best price. I have to be able to work with the legal compliance team to get the right contract. These skills become very, very important, and providing a single point of leadership for a salesperson is key in that role. I know a lot of you people don't have respect for sales guys, but guess what? Their job is actually very, very hard because they can't really do anything themselves. They need a lot of people's help to get things done, and their success is kind of outsourced to many of you guys that don't even like them. So unfortunate, but that's life. Yeah. And then these people tend to be typically what is called a type A personality. Those of you that don't know what that is, I'd recommend you just Google it. It's very hard for me to explain it. Basically, they're aggressive. They're very self-confident. They can go live on Mount Himalayas for a month alone. They don't really need company. They don't need other people to tell them, wow, good job, and things like that. So they're basically lone warriors, So you need to be of that personality to be very successful in sales. Then there is marketing. Now marketing is, there are not too many roles, too many opportunities, let me put it that way. But I don't know, Infosys may have 40, 50 guys in marketing. Wipro, I'm told, has a larger marketing team. The goal is to create messages that represent your company and then propagate it to all stakeholders. Now, these could be customers, this could be employees, this could be partners. Now, what is needed is basically the ability to what I call synthesize. Now, if you ask me to write a 1,000-word story on Infosys, I can probably write 10,000 words, right? But if you ask me to summarize it in 6 words, that is going to be really, really tough. So you should be able to abstract a theme from several different pieces of information, and then you should have the superb, absolutely extraordinary ability to communicate that, right? And then how do you communicate? Communication is not only about the message, it is also about the audience. So you must understand the target of the message very well. So different message for customers, different message for employees, different message for partners. So for employees, I know HCL created a slogan a few years back. I don't know if they still use it. Employees first, customers second, or something like that. that message you will never see in front of a customer. It will always leak out, but it will not be there in any of their external client-facing messages. But it will be the most prominent message in the recruitment ad. So creating things like that. And then here, the soft skills that are important are also ability to network with people who are in other functions, because marketing teams themselves don't have much resources. So in order to understand, let's say you have been assigned the job to create a market-facing message for the SMAC service at Cognizant, social media, analytics, cloud service. So when you are trying to create that message, you're a marketing guy, you obviously don't understand all the four. So which means you should be able to network with people in each of these practices, understand what that service really is and what appeals to customers, what appeals to employees, what appeals to partners, and then create those messages together with them and then present it to the right stakeholder. So this is really a tough task. And then the partners that you work with, the design firms, ad agencies, these are all left brain. All of us are, we are all, I forgot what brain that is. The creative types which use the other half of the brain that most of us use. So it is a very difficult skill set. So some of you may be good at that, but if you're good at that, it is a good goal to pursue. Then client engagement. This actually is, if you ask me, if you're in delivery, this is your most realistic transition to a business role. Your goal is to sustain and then enhance an existing client relationship, right? So how do you do that? You obviously provide more services by creating more value adds in the relationship, and in the process obviously create higher levels of business with your company. So DHL used to be one of the early customers of Infosys. So I have not kept up with the times, but by the time I left Infosys in 2007, Infosys was probably DHL is probably Infosys' top customer with hundreds of millions of dollars of business. So if you are thinking about a role that's closer to business, closer to customers, and you have been on the delivery side, this is probably a very, very good role to target, where you are not only executing the existing project, but also bringing in new business for the company from existing stakeholders, existing customers. What are the key skills required? And now this is a very different relationship building skills, compared to the sales guy. The sales guy needs to build relationship quickly, but these people need to build relationships that are long-term sustainable. Now what does that mean? If I can be a little bit informal, so if you go to a bar and you want to make friends with somebody of the opposite gender, right? The sales guy will make a very quick conversation and make friends, maybe share a drink and come out, But an account manager has to build a relationship which probably goes all the way till marriage, right? So the characteristics of people to make those relationships is very different, and the variety of people that these relationships need to be maintained is also very wide. So this could be procurement guys, end users of products, people that make decisions, people that are in the leadership, a bunch of people that you need to interact with. And you need to understand the customer's business so much so that you're as good as one of their executives, So if you are at the client site at AT&T, you must understand AT&T's business as much as you understand, let's say, Wipro's business, because AT&T is your customer. If you understand their business as much as their employees do, then you can have a good, high-quality conversation with them, rather than sound like an outsider who talks only Java and Oracle, right? And then the flip side, which is basically the other side of the coin, you must know your own organization very well. So what are the services my company provides? Who's responsible for getting me a proposal in this, on that? How do I price this? What is our acceptable margin limits? What's our acceptable prices? If I need a deviation, where do I go? Where have we done this kind of work before? Because that is going to be relevant for preparing your proposals and things like that. You can't really only rely on the India team after the fact, because sometimes you meet people in an informal setting and they say, hey, we are planning to do this. Do you guys have any experience doing this kind of a thing? You should probably say, absolutely, we have done it 6 times over A, B, C, D, E, right? So understanding your own company's resume becomes very, very important in this role. And then I call this like an orchestra master role, because you are playing the central role with multiple internal teams and multiple client teams and making the end objective happen, right? And then we talked about the execution roles, which is business analyst or business consultant. The idea is to understand clients' business needs and translate them for downstream IT activities. Now, these are probably for people that have 6, 8, 10 years or even less than 10 years kind of experience, where instead of, so if you think of the software that you're doing as a coin, the one side is the Java, Oracle, 3-tier, 2-tier, that kind of stuff. The other side is for finance, payroll, marketing, customer positioning, inventory adjustment, finance, right? So you have to understand the other side of the coin. If you understand that, not only from a functional perspective, but also getting into the specifics of a particular industry vertical, so that you can talk that language, you understand the nuances, finance presence in retail, finance presence in healthcare, finance presence in telecom, then you are a good business analyst. And the CBAP kind of training allows you to understand the consultative process, but doesn't really give you, Ashwin, if you are hearing, if you have done a CBAP program, that probably gave you 3, but it probably doesn't give you 1 and 2, which you need to pick up as well. And then, you should be generally aware of what is happening in the industry. You should be well read, well aware, best practices in your core area of specialization and your core industry, plus others where you can learn from. And you should have the ability to communicate with clients. And now when I say communicate, it includes listening. A lot of people believe communication is only talking, so that is so not true. Communication is more listening and actually less speaking, if you can do it ever. Yeah. And then you should have the ability to translate those needs to tech teams, because that's your ultimate objective. You are the go-between the customer and your own teams. So sometimes you'll have to turn language there. If you're talking inventory, here you'll have to talk radio button with these 3 types of inventory parameters. Put a drop-down combo here instead of a radio button, because there can be, parameterized, or put check boxes because there could be more than one, and things like that. With a customer, you might say speak a different language. With your tech teams, you speak a different language. Yeah. So those are the kind of roles that are available in the execution business roles. Now the million-dollar question, the billion-dollar question is, so which role should I pick? How and who will help me, right? So what I covered in like 40 minutes today is barely tip of the iceberg. So what I would recommend is don't force fit yourself, and definitely avoid peer pressure. Just because everybody thinks being a business analyst is sexy, let me go and do it. So that's not a good approach. Just answer to yourself who you are, what you're good at, and go pursue that career rather than force fit yourself into something that others believe is right. So for that, I recommend this read. I have read this myself. I do a couple of courses at Sunstone where I have adapted this book. This is sold on Flipkart and Amazon. Amazon has a better pricing. What you're really meant to do, this guy called Robert Kaplan, who's written this with Harvard University Press. This is a fairly generic book for any career choice. So you'll have to kind of tune it down, but the worksheets are actually very good. If you follow through with it, you'll have a lot more clarity than what you have today. So I have taken this book, I have adapted it for the Indian IT industry, and I do this as part of what you heard in 40 minutes. I have a 32-hour course that I offer this particular programming that is available to students at Sunstone. Now I want to wrap up. So here is, step by step. So once you know what you want to be, what you're likely to be good at, first of all, you have to fill the skills, and Ashwin's again one of those steps. They could be business knowledge, they could be soft skills, they could be very minimal things like accent neutralization. So those of you that are listening to me and trying to guess which state in India I'm from, it will be a little tough for you because I have gone through one of these accent neutralization courses. If you have a thick Punjabi accent, a Tamil accent, a Mallu accent, it can be very quickly neutralized. It takes 3 months, like no more than 3,000-4,000 rupees. This is what the BPO guys go through. If you do it, it is one step closer to your life. But Ashwin, just because your accent neutralized, don't ask for a bigger job, bigger salary. Yeah. So it is investing into yourself. So make sure you do it. There's several other things that I again cover as part of my course at Sunstone. Invest in yourself. You'll be surprised how people look shabby, unpolished shoes for men with 3 days old beard and all kinds of shady check shirts. Everything matters. Believe me, like if you have left a bad impression with me on your dressing style once, it's very difficult for you to get a good professional break if I had an equal chance between you and another guy. Everything else remaining same, a lot of these small things matter. Keep your eyes and ears open. Build networks that go beyond your teams or your apartment complex friends. You need to have a professional network that is beyond your workplace or your home. Opportunities have to be created. They don't come and knock at your door. I'm sure you heard this before, but be part of groups, do running, do photography, whatever gets you to access to other people, that you can create a network of professionals that can come useful. Both of you can come useful to each other. Yeah. I have 20 tips for how to maintain a LinkedIn profile, what kind of a resume to write, what kind of social events to attend, find time for, so that you can meet the right kind of people and things like that. So again, building a career actually becomes very, very harder once you become more and more senior. Find a mentor. Now this is very, very important. So now there are 3 characteristics of that mentor. Yeah. So the mentor should be somebody who's a sounding board, as opposed to a megaphone. So there are a lot of people who will give you gyan. There will be very few people who listen to you and reflect it back. If you say, I want to do X, they should say, no, do X plus delta X or X minus delta X. Those are good mentors. If you say, I want to do X, and they say, dude, go do Y, then they are, not really sounding board. They are, gyanis, they're giving gyan to you, right? The second characteristic is you must trust and respect. Now, there are a lot of people you trust implicitly, your family, your spouse, your best friend, but you don't have their respect for them, for their professional knowledge. And there are these guys you have a lot of respect as professionals, but you may not trust them. They are typically your managers, your super managers, your manager's best friend, and guys like that. So you have to find somebody that you have both trust and respect. And you have to be open to getting that from anywhere. These could be people that are your peers. This could be people that are younger to you. This could be people that are older to you. So age, experience really doesn't matter. A lot of people say, oh, I have my senior vice president as a mentor. Dude, that guy doesn't even know what smack is all about. You are the new generation, right? Find somebody your age or younger than you or a little bit older than you who can, but make sure they are sounding boards and not megaphones. Make sure you can trust and respect them. And this is the other one, just tactical. Keep reading job descriptions. Even if you're not looking for a job, let them be internal, external job postings at company sites, not the consultant emails. Consultant emails say, tell me notice period, salary, and location constraint, very shady. So read them so that you can fit yourself to them. Visualize if you can play that role. Can I play this role? Can I play this role? And if there are gaps, go back to loop 1 and start filling in those gaps again. Yeah. Very good. Thank you for your patience. I probably had one last slide. So the key is in your brain, in your head. I don't think anybody else can make you successful. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you have it in you, but you need help. You have to have very high expectations from yourself. A lot of other people will expect less than what you expect from yourself. You should expect more from yourself than others do. And you have to be very, very persevering. It won't come automatically. It won't come easily. If you persevere, you will get what you want. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. I normally do what I call a traffic light test. There are 3 potential options. that you could take at this stage. You could give up, saying building a career is hard. I will just take it as it comes. Lot of food for thought. Or you will say, I knew some of these, now I feel the urgency to get going. Tell me what to do next. So if you press the red button, then may God be with you, or whoever is your philosopher. If you press the yellow button, just be careful. These people tend to be more analysis paralysis guys. Keep on thinking, keep on thinking, keep on thinking. Never really take action. But if you press the green button, this is what I would say. This is Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors on earth. This is what he has to say about investing in yourself. So I would recommend that if you are feeling the urgency, then think about investing in yourself, building up your skills, and going for what you're really meant to do. Yeah. Thank you very much. I will take your questions now. So, so this is a picture of me, my email ID, and my role at Sunstone. I also write a blog at yourcareers@sunstone.in. Those of you that want to follow that. Yeah.
Thanks for the insightful
Okay, so,
presentation, Tapan.
questions that were asked at yeah.
Yes, as you have just mentioned, let's quickly take up the questions now. I would request you to read aloud the questions and their answers so that all our users may listen to your commendable insights.
So Amir Ahmadi asked some question at 327, how to transition to account management roles. So I understand that was covered plenty well in that full slide that I had. If you still have questions, I think you should read up an account manager's role a little bit more surely, Amir. It is about building skills that make you understand customers' business better, your own company services better, and a bunch of soft skills that we talked about. I hope that slide answered your question. What will be the ideal education combination for technical persons who are looking for pursuing masters, MBA IT or MBA business domain? Fateh Mehdi. So Fateh, there is no ideal education combination. In fact, while I represent a business school, I don't believe too much in formal education. The idea is, do you have the skills? Do you have the knowledge? There is no one easy answer. There are several ways to acquire business knowledge. You can go to an IIM, do a part-time program. You can go to an ISB, do a full-time program. You can go to INSEAD, Wharton, or you could just sit at home, do one course after the other on Coursera. But you need that discipline, you need that mentoring, you need that guidance. So there is no educational requirement. Education helps in proving to the other party that you know shit, but really doesn't teach you shit, if you understand what I'm saying, right? I mean, if you want to tell somebody, oh, I understand business, then showing an MBA on your resume might be helpful. But if you truly want to learn business, I don't think you need any degree. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but that's how strongly I feel about that point. Okay, so Mohit's question probably was answered. What is client engagement basically? So basically there was one full slide, Mohit, that talked about what are the expectations from that role, what are the key skills required for the role, and what it takes to. How to manage office politics, Sashi? I cannot answer that. There is no, first of all, you have to believe there is no politics. Then you'll do well. If you believe there is politics, you'll blame everything to politics. You'll find the easy way out. Yeah, this is a very good question. So Amandeep asked, what is the best way to grow to business roles? To be in big services company and trying to go, or join a startup and get feel for everything that happens around? So Amandeep, there is an in-between answer really. So people think of either Infosys or a no-name startup, right? But there are several options in between. So don't make the drastic step of moving from a TCS where your job role was defined, your chair was defined, your chai came on time, you had an application to get a bus ticket to go to Chennai and all of that, and directly to a startup mode, you'll probably die. Yeah. So think of a smaller company where you can get a bigger role. So I have an article on my blog called Small Fish in Big Pond, or Big Fish in Small Pond. So there will be differences. There are some goods and bads of both. So at different points of time in your career, different type of organizations make sense. Large organizations teach you how to do business at a massive scale with a lot of predictability. Small organizations teach you how to be nimble, how to do jugaad and get stuff done. So they are not, there's nothing, one is not really better than the other, but it is definitely a different flavor. So choice for which one you should pick at what time in your career is very subjective. It's very difficult to advise without really knowing your background. But I do career coaching as a job at Sunstone, and a lot of our students get the benefit of that discussion. So find a mentor who may be able to advise you on things like that. But I would definitely recommend doing large company and medium size to small company. But large companies opposite is not startup. Startup could actually completely derail your career if it doesn't go well. Okay. Okay, so I have answered all the questions that were assigned to me. Anything else?
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
As we are running out of time, I would request you to, if you can sum up the session for today, you can do it now.
Yeah, so there is the only summing up that I normally do with my students is, guys, you have to really believe that you are the only one that is responsible for your career. If you continue to believe that your employer will do something for you, I'm sorry, boss, that's not going to happen. It will have to be you and you alone that is responsible for your career. You have to invest. A lot of these people invest in apartments, three apartments they have booked, but they haven't invested in the person that's going to pay for those apartments. When was the last time you invested something in yourself? Ask yourself that question. Get the answer, and that should point you to the right direction. Yeah? Thank you very much, guys. It was a pleasure. I thank you for taking an hour out from your work day to come speak with me. I will be happy to answer questions as you post them on the TechGig website as well.
I'm really thankful to our guest speaker today for conducting this wonderful webinar with us. It was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. The recording of the webinar will be available on techgig.com by tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Tapan, for taking the time out and having us. I hope you have a great evening ahead.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.